he had rejected her request for additional punitive or triple damages, which is a very good thing for Justin.
So the tens of millions of dollars that she has spent prosecuting her claims against the Wayfair party are not fair game. She does not get to recoup those.
I think this is probably the best outcome for Wayfair. I mean, Blake Lively isn't being awarded punitive damages or triple damage.
Blake Lively is reaching rock bottom because that's exactly what occurred today as the ruling arrived, and it is completely devastating for Blake. The judge has denied her request for additional damages in her case against Justin Baldoni and has also accused her of attempting to make an end run around the law. He said she was trying to bypass what California's anti-SLAPP legislation was intended for. This was her last chance at fair compensation, and the judge essentially told her to kick rocks away.
Blake Lively dealt fresh blow as judge rejects bid for massive payout.
She got no damages, and as you said, the woman who actually authored the law is running as fast away from her as she possibly can.
Now, this is Judge Lyman's words. Lively circumvents this web of procedures and processes designed for the orderly, just, and fair determination of civil claims in federal court.
Blake Lively spent around $35 million on attorneys, experts, travel expenses, and all the other costs that come with 2 years of federal litigation. That's more than most people will earn in their entire lives. And she burned through it like it was nothing. And what did she receive for it? Well, the judge said she can recover legal fees, which sounds like a win until you realize that the amount is somewhere between $100,000 and $200,000. Now, that's not even 1% of what she spent. I mean, her attorney's bill just went from $35 million down to $34,850,000 after the fee reduction. That's supposed to be her victory. She saved $150,000 on a $35 million bill. That's like spending $100 on lunch and getting a coupon for $50 off your next purchase. And sources have told the Daily Mail that both sides combined spent as much as $60 million on this whole mess. That's an insane amount of money to burn on a lawsuit that ended with Blake walking away with nothing. The only fees she'll recover cover costs of defending Justin Baldoni's failed lawsuit, not her own battle.
The only people who prevailed on this motion are Lively's attorneys.
Settlement was a massive loss for Blake Lively because she paid out of pocket to her attorneys for the entire case.
So essentially, the judge said, hey, you shouldn't have needed to pay for defending yourself against his nonsense, so he'll cover those costs. But everything she spent on her own case attempting to get hundreds of millions in damages, that's on her. All on her. But how exactly did this happen? How did a judge examine Blake Lively's case and basically tell her she was trying to abuse the legal system? Let's break down this 47-page ruling. Because in this 47-page ruling, the judge accused Blake of trying to make an end run around the law. That's sports terminology for basically cheating, for going around the rules instead of through them too.
A lot of people who were following this case that saw that coming a mile away. Because the way that this whole 47.1 has been weaponized is not okay. And it's not the way that it was designed to work by the person who made it.
The statute she cited was California Civil Code Section 47.1. This was an untested law passed in 2023 following the Me Too movement. It was created to protect individuals who report allegations of mistreatment from retaliatory defamation lawsuits. But Blake Lively attempted to use this law in a manner it was never designed for. She was not a victim seeking protection from retaliation. She was someone who had already lost her case, already withdrawn her claims, and was attempting to obtain another payout from the situation by relying on this statute. The judge said her request bypasses procedures created for the orderly, fair, and just resolution of civil claims in federal court. He also suggested she was attempting to bring a form of malicious prosecution or abuse of process claim against Justin and his film studio. That is why he rejected what would have become a mini trial without the required briefings that normally occur. She wanted to avoid proper procedures, evidence, due process, and simply receive damages. The judge refused. His exact words were that the law does not create an end run around the complete framework of carefully designed federal procedural rules meant to protect the rights of all parties. Instead, it creates a narrow exception to the normal litigation process for a specific and limited form of relief. Compensatory and punitive damages do not qualify under that exception. The ruling made clear that the statute cannot be transformed into a shortcut for obtaining financial awards after a failed lawsuit because courts must follow procedures.
She's risking this whole thing because if she had lost, which she kind of did, but now if she lost fees as well, the whole law is kind of
Well, we all know Blake Lively attempted to use a law designed to protect SA victims as a get-rich-quick scheme, and the judge told her that wasn't going to work. But there was one small bright spot in the ruling for Blake. Music. The judge said he was approving her request for fees because it was on much firmer ground. He made no finding at this stage as to the appropriate measure of fees or how much she would actually get. The only attorney's fees she'll recover are those associated with Justin Baldoni's failed defamation lawsuit, not her entire case. So, she's receiving back some of the money she spent defending against his lawsuit. Not the money she spent prosecuting her own claims. Music, not the millions she spent on her own team. The irony is that even her victory is a defeat. She spent $35 million, and the reward is getting some of that money back. That's like spending $100 on a lottery ticket and winning back $10 and calling it a win.
Lively's request for damages must be denied. So that's the win for Justin, without a doubt.
Now, there's this theory circulating that this whole thing feels like a Hollywood backroom deal. And honestly, when you view it from a certain angle, it's hard not to see where that theory comes from. The judge didn't just make a ruling. He created a payoff that looks like a loss. By ending the trouble damages, he protected Justin's real money. Trouble damages means triple damages. It means tens of millions of dollars, potentially. He made sure Justin didn't have to pay that. But then he gave Blake a small reward, a few hundred $000 in fees. She will take home less than $1 million. And for an A-list star who spent $35 million, that is absolutely pocket change. Meanwhile, her lawyers at Wilkie Farr will still bill her millions of dollars. Music, they're the real winners here. They've been getting paid this whole time, and they'll keep getting paid no matter how the case ends.
So, here's what I guess.
This is a shakedown where the judge keeps the peace. Blake Lively gets a fake victory. She gets to walk away saying she won something. Justin walks away richer. Nobody has to go to trial. Nobody has to drag out all the embarrassing evidence even further. They just make a deal, split the difference, and everyone goes home pretending they won. And the people who got justice were the lawyers because they're the only ones who actually got paid here. Anyone who says Blake won this case is either delusional or delusional. There is no in between. She lost everything she wanted and got almost nothing in return. If you gave Blake a wish Willow and told her she could have one Duver, she would wish she never filed her lawsuit in the first place. She would wish she had just done the bare minimum to promote domestic violence awareness during the press tour and let the movie speak for itself. Instead, she tried to hijack everything, burn it all down, and now she's standing in the ashes wondering what happened at this moment.
Girl, you should have just went to trial, but you already knew you had nothing, and now you're trying to find loopholes.
Instagram added a community note to that TMZ article about Blake's victory to reveal the misleading headline because that is exactly what it was. Blake and her PR team spent plenty of money to get that headline framed the way it was, attempting to spin a devastating loss into some kind of victory, and Instagram had to step in and correct it. Imagine how much she paid TMZ for that headline. Then Instagram simply placed a note on it saying, "Hey, this is misleading." TMZ also used this second photo of her with Justin Baldoni showing him the raw filmed footage, and she's standing there with that reaction on her face. They used that image to represent the story, and it made her appear absolutely terrible. It made her seem like someone caught trying to control something she had no right to control. Blake and her PR team must really dislike Instagram's community note feature because it keeps happening whenever they attempt to spin something. Every time they try to mislead people, a platform arrives and adds a note correcting the record. She wanted attention, and she has received it forever. Every awkward moment is preserved and corrected instantly. But here's the thing that's truly interesting. Let's compare what she wanted to accomplish when she filed this lawsuit versus what she actually received. We know she entered this entire lawsuit with a plan to repair her public image and restart a slowing career while seeking an enormous $300 million in damages. She fought to keep her private communications sealed and hoped to overcome Wayfair's motions and finally tell her side of the story in open court, where she expected Justin Baldoni to face accountability through punitive damages. Instead, she ended up with a worse public image than before she filed. Her career direction is uncertain at best, with no upcoming projects. Zero damages while spending more than $30 million on legal expenses. All humiliating communications revealed while damaging her reputation. 10 of her 13 causes of action were dismissed, including all her SH claims. She resolved her remaining claims for $0 and only received attorney's fees under the statute, totaling around $100,000. She is seen as a joke, a false accuser, and a fake victim by many people. That's the reputation she gained from this lawsuit. And here is the most painful part. Justin got exactly what he wanted from this entire situation. Every single thing. He walked away with his reputation protected, his legal position strengthened, and the outcome he desired without facing the consequences Blake had expected.
Big victories for Justin Baldoni. None of these victories should be minimized.
Justin Baldoni succeeded in every goal he set out to accomplish during this lawsuit. He successfully exposed Blake as a movie stealer and, most importantly, as a false accuser, while walking away with a reputation that was even stronger than before the lawsuit started. He avoided paying any of the hundreds of millions in damages that Blake demanded, while defeating her entire case through legal motions and settling the matter for $0 to avoid an expensive and stressful trial. By using evidence to finally share his side of the story, he held Blake accountable for her actions, revealed the true behavior of her and Ryan, and showed the industry exactly who the real issue was. A fact that even Sony agreed with was Blake. But wait, it gets even more interesting, or worse depending on your perspective, because Ryan Reynolds is also dealing with serious financial pressure right now. And it's not only because of Blake's recent disaster. Ryan Reynolds is facing a $5 million lawsuit over an early morning Tesla crash in Manhattan. That's right. He's being sued for $5 million over a vehicle accident. And that's not all. This civil case was filed by two women in New York against Ryan Reynolds' company, with a status conference scheduled for September. Two separate women, $5 million each, and they're pursuing his company. That represents another $10 million in possible liability, simply waiting. Then there are also millions more expected in attorney fees from the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni case. Ryan and Blake will have to use their own money to cover these debts. They cannot just classify them as business expenses or hide behind some corporate structure. But the most surprising part of all this is that many people have called them billionaires. Ryan and Blake, the famous power couple, the marketing experts, the people who built entire businesses around their charm and likability. But the truth may be very different from that image. Ryan should probably spend less time worrying about digital warfare and more attention on the reality that his finances are not quite what the media makes them appear to be. The public perception may not match the actual situation.
Hired like 25 lawyers or something. Like she ridiculously overspent because she and her husband Ryan are swimming in money, unlike Justin Bell.
The practical reality of home renovations and unpaid contractor bills clearly took a backseat to the important matters. While they are out there spending millions on attorneys, they apparently cannot be bothered to pay the workers constructing their home. With legal expenses consuming any possible winnings and all their public performances falling flat, they are experiencing genuine financial pressure for the first time in perhaps their entire lives. And that pressure is only expected to increase as their careers continue. Ryan has barely secured any new projects since the lawsuit started. Currently, the movie Eloise really appears to be the only project he is involved with. Thunderbolt/Lightfoot with Hugh Jackman was announced in 2025. But until filming actually begins, many people question whether the movie will ever be completed. It keeps getting delayed, postponed, rewritten, and who knows if it will truly happen. Mayday was already filmed and is simply waiting for release. That's not fresh work. That's only something he completed some time ago that has not arrived yet. And here is the truly concerning part. IMDb shows around 11 upcoming projects for him. Sounds impressive, right? 11 films or shows ahead. But if you actually search every one separately, some have been developing since 2019. Ryan appears to enjoy having headlines released saying Ryan will star in this film or Ryan will produce that series. Then nothing ever happens. He announces projects, receives media attention, and afterward the project quietly vanishes. An A-list celebrity currently working on only one project and having a minor role in it. That's the reality. He has not managed to secure more opportunities. The industry seems distant from him. This may explain why they were running that GoFundMe on the docket for the past 2 years. Wait, that does not add up. GoFundMe is for regular people, right? But the point remains they needed income arriving, and it is not arriving. The source is running dry. And Blake has no new projects announced either. Her only upcoming movie, We Used to Live Here, has completely vanished from her IMDb page with no updates since 2021. That project was revealed years ago and has gone nowhere. It may as well not exist. The situation continues to raise questions about their future plans, opportunities, and ability to maintain success.
The lead actress of the biggest drama film of the year, but her behavior has been so chaotic, it has completely eclipsed the movie itself.
After nearly 2 years of intense public drama and embarrassing headlines, the judge has ordered a small amount of fees to be covered. This is basically another way of saying the attorneys are the only ones walking away with a guaranteed paycheck. Blake Lively did not leave with a huge settlement. She did not receive the punitive damages she pursued. She did not gain anything truly significant. She spent enormous amounts of money and resources only for the court to acknowledge she should not have carried the burden of another person's legal expenses. $35 million spent. So the judge essentially said, you know what? You should not have paid to defend yourself against his lawsuit. That is the victory. That is the entire victory. If this counts as winning, nobody would want to experience the defeat. Blake Lively has faced what many describe as a final embarrassment. The ruling delivered a painful outcome for someone who continued pushing forward even after both sides reached a settlement last month. She could not simply walk away. She wanted additional damages, wanted more financial recovery, and continued fighting even after the dispute was supposed to be finished. She sought compensation connected to Justin Baldoni's defamation lawsuit against her. That case, filed in January of last year, was dismissed 5 months later. He made accusations against her, and the court determined his claims lacked legal merit. Then Blake attempted to use that dismissal as a reason to pursue additional compensation. This decision may represent the closing chapter of a lawsuit that was scheduled for trial before both sides eventually settled. And calling this legal battle unsuccessful would be a massive understatement. But the final detail makes the outcome even more complicated. The judge found no evidence of malice. Legally, malice means knowingly making a false statement or claim while understanding it was untrue. The judge was essentially saying Blake believed the allegations she presented. She was not intentionally inventing claims simply to harm Justin Baldoni. She genuinely believed she had been treated unfairly. That finding could technically be considered favorable for Blake. A judge was not calling her a deliberate liar. However, the issue is that this came after many other parts of her strategy had already fallen apart. She did not receive a major financial award. Her career direction appears uncertain. Public opinion has shifted against her. Legal expenses remain substantial. And the judge also suggested she was attempting to use a specific law in a way that stretched beyond its purpose. Technically, she may have believed her own accusations, but critics argue she attempted to use the legal system to obtain financial relief, and that strategy failed. It is difficult to know whether Blake will take lessons from this experience, but many observers believe the situation has permanently changed how people view her. The public response has created lasting consequences. There are still challenges ahead. The entertainment industry response has appeared more favorable toward Justin Baldoni, who continues receiving professional opportunities and support. Many people believe he allowed the evidence to speak instead of constantly responding publicly. Blake's effort to present herself as the injured party has faced major criticism. Released communications, messages, and other evidence became central to the public discussion. Every new piece of information created additional debate about her choices and decisions. Her public image has suffered greatly, and that is not something that can easily be repaired with money or publicity. Blake Lively's overall strategy has fallen apart in the eyes of many critics. She spent approximately $35 million and ended up without the outcome she wanted. Her professional future remains uncertain, her relationship has faced public attention, and her reputation has taken serious damage. The ruling represented another difficult moment. Years of conflict, millions spent, legal meetings, testimony, public criticism, and released communications all led to an outcome she never expected. Some people may sympathize with her situation. Others may believe the consequences are deserved. But Blake had many chances to approach everything differently. She could have focused on promoting the movie without creating a larger conflict. She could have allowed Justin Baldoni to handle his own creative work. She could have chosen a more professional approach instead of escalating a disagreement into a massive legal fight. Instead, critics believe she turned serious allegations into part of a business conflict and caused years of litigation for everyone involved. She spent enormous sums attempting to prove her position, and when the situation ended, she was left facing the consequences of her decisions. But what do you think? Do you believe Blake and Ryan will find another way to create more controversy, or will they finally move forward from this entire situation? The next stage will reveal how they handle the aftermath of this controversy and whether they can rebuild trust with audiences. For now, the attention remains focused on the legal battle, the financial impact, and the public reaction that followed. Whatever happens next, this chapter has become one of the most discussed moments of their careers, leaving both sides with lasting consequences and questions about their future choices. Many fans, critics, and observers will continue watching closely as new developments appear, because the outcome has changed the way people discuss celebrity disputes, lawsuits, public relations strategies, and accountability in Hollywood moving forward today.